Hey guys, so with a bunch of new heroes coming, brings one that is a little bit confusing to go over and really unique, and I'm pretty excited to break them down for you. So as you can see on the screen, we got a hero that I guarantee none of you have ever seen before, and that is Xena right here. Now Xena is an infernal fighter, which I will go over the kit in a second, and she's really cool. So as you can see in this art, this is what she looks like. She's kind of like if the guild boss was personified into a unit for some reason. And in this artwork, she's with Brokir. This is not a banner art, I don't think, or at least it probably won't be a banner. But I figured this would be a cool art to start with. As you can see, she is on a couple banners here. Before I go over the kit, I figure I show these. We got a banner with her and Beelzebub, who I'll have a video on fairly soon. And then we also have an image of her here and all of that stuff. So, she'll be coming eventually, hopefully after the update, give it like another month. And then she'll probably be out, maybe even sooner. I know she's already on test server, so expect some testing videos. I know War Guides is currently in the process of making one, so go check out his video when that is up. But for now, we're gonna go over the kit. Now, before I go into the kit, though, I do have to say special thanks to R-Type for making this really nice infographic for me. I didn't end up getting to use it in time, so really big apologies to R-Type. Shout out R-Type, honestly. Really good stuff from him. But for now, we're going to be using these, which are made by Panther. Also, thank you to Rokanchi, Erasis, and T for helping me organize these things. So, to start off, let's go over the base stats like I always do. Her base stats are ridiculously high. They remind me a bit of Kirigiri. I don't really remember, but they remind me of his. And as you can see, they're very high. So 27k HP, some of the highest in the entire game. You will see why that is so high. It does make a lot of sense. Defense, pretty typical. Magic resistance, pretty typical. 2 block, cost 17, respawn 60. The attack is really high at 6,444. And she's really interesting. Max Rage actually does not matter, which is what I will show in a second. Xena, Dragon's Kiss, burst damage, burning, really interesting range there, and she is an infernal fighter, so kind of like Zillatu, for example. But she is nothing like Zillatu in her kit. So this is going to be a little bit confusing to explain, but a lot easier than the last video I made on Tallulah, or Tallulah, whatever their name is. But the talent is when deployed, increases attack by 20% and all damage reduction by 30% for 30 seconds. Attack also inflicts burning on hit targets, reduced the cost of the hero's first deployment by 6. And let me tell you right now, before I read the rest of the kit, you will be placing her down and pulling her a lot. A lot. So she's really going to be 11 cost. You're going to sell her, get 6 back. So realistically, she's going to end up being 5 cost, right? So you put 5 costs down, and then she does her thing. You pull her again, and I'll explain why that is such a big deal in a second. Now, increased attack and damage reduction is pretty interesting, especially because her HP is so much, and she also inflicts burning. Pretty cool there. Magic damage, obviously, on her basic. Pretty normal stuff there. And the thing that really throws you off guard here is the ultimate. Now, the ultimate is not really an ultimate. It's honestly just what she is at base, and that is Perdition's Blaze, which triggers on deployment. So, like Livian, for example, which also triggers on deployment. She activates it on deployment or when deployed, increasing attack by 30% and crit damage by 80%, both very high boosts. Each attack deals 150% damage up to 5 enemies in range. The fewer targets hit, the higher the damage dealt. That is really cool, right? She does up to 300% damage depending on how few enemies there are, and the skill can only be triggered 1 time per deployment, which goes back to what I said earlier about how you want to place her down and you want to pull her back. Because after her ultimate is over, which I'm pretty sure it lasts 20 seconds or 30 seconds, either or, doesn't really matter too much, same principle there. You're going to want to pull her and then by the time she gets placed down again, she gets to trigger it again, and she's essentially like a mini nuke, which further is amplified by her later skills. Now, after the effect duration ends, she also reduces her attack range to one tile ahead. So an attack range like Salazar, or an attack range like Deimos, all of these really basic attack ranges, that's what it's going to get reduced to. Now, she does have two passives. One is when she attacks targets inflicted with burning. Keep in mind that her attack also inflicts burning through her talent. And then when she attacks them inflicted with burning, deals an extra true damage equal to 30% of the hero's attack one time. Very, very good for a couple of pieces of content, especially because you're placing her down. You want her to nuke. You really, really want her to actually do good damage. And true damage goes through everything. So that's really, really, really good there. Now, the more stacks of burning the target is inflicted with, higher the damage dealt, up to 60%. Does this make her valuable in stuff like Boreas Codex? Not really, because she suffers from not being able to be placed down the entire time, but that is still pretty cool. Now, the Infernal Passion passive is permanently increases the hero's damage by 15%, which each deployment up to 60%. Yet another crazy attack bonus or damage bonus ability. She really, really, really does ramp up quite a bit, and she's really, really, really good. Really, really, really cool. And she's not going to be that useful in a lot of areas, which definitely is not a bad thing, especially when we're getting a lot of new units. You want them to fulfill a niche or fulfill something that not a lot of heroes fulfill, but you don't want them to be absolutely broken, which is exactly what Xena is for. Xena also looks sick, looks like a lot of fun, so I'm definitely very excited. You're going to place her down. She's going to do a really long range nuke, and although you could keep her down and, she would do okay damage, she'll lose all her range. She'll do a bit less damage than if you're cycling her, obviously. All of this stuff, right? She's still going to be solid, but you're really, really, really going to want to use her strategically and with proper timing. Now, her awakenings are also pretty interesting. Her A1 is during the ultimate, which is when you deploy her, it lasts for a certain amount of seconds. The hero's attack deals an extra 90% to 180% damage based on the number of targets hit. So if we go back to this, we get to do damage up to 5 enemies in range. The less there is, so like bosses and stuff, she will do more. Well, no, we're actually getting 90% to 180% depending on how few enemies, just like the ultimate, the base ult. So it's basically just a stronger ult in general, based on 90% to 180% extra damage. Now her attack is plus 300. Very, very, very high base stats. Really, really cool base stats there, but the A2 is pretty lame. The A3 is receiving fatal damage during the ultimate. Keep in mind, it triggers when she's deployed. Enters unyielding for 5 seconds and dies immediately when it ends. This is literally like Valeria. I don't know if this gives her viability like Valeria, but instead the magic type of Valeria. But it is definitely a very cool ability. And the hero cannot be healed during unyielding and cannot be revived after it ends. So stuff like Valkyria will not be able to revive her. We also really need more revivers in this game, I'm realizing. But that's not the point of the video. Penetration 8%, pretty cool. That is definitely a good one to have. And then the A5 is during the ultimate. Each attack inflicts magic resistance reduction on the target's hit. This is a very lame ability, although I do assume that the magic resistance reduction is very high. I cannot guarantee it though, so do not take that as a quote. So very, very, very cool hero. Not the most game-breaking, meta-shifting, insane hero, but she might have some viability in arena. She might have some viability in boss-killing content, like Void Rift as well, maybe. Maybe you could find some really solid uses for her in like Geared 1 and stuff. She's going to be a lot of fun, which I really like. I cannot really name that many areas she would be good. Maybe Conquer Codex or something. She could have some viability. But realistically, we'll have to see what ends up happening. So keep in mind, Warguy's video will be coming out pretty soon, probably today. And she will be also coming in about a month or two, especially once the update is done. She'll probably start being on the horizon. So definitely keep an eye out for that. And I want to hear what you guys think. So, does she seem interesting? Are you excited for this hero? Are you skipping it whenever she does come out? I will say go for Tallulah and go for the new limited before her, Karigi. and Tallulah and Beelzebub are all going to be really, really like S tier units, and Xena will be like an A tier or a B tier unit in my eyes. Of course, could change depending on how she gets tested, and she's pretty cool. I really like her design. I think she looks sick, and yeah, definitely excited for her release. I don't even know if I'll go for her, but I do like having new unique heroes in the game because I like seeing what people can cook up and what people can work with, and it really makes me excited for the game. So thank you all for watching. I do appreciate it, and Destined signing out.